listening to the Vassals of Kingsgrave, Mass Effect Edition. Today we'll be discussing and spoiling the Mass Effect video game series. I am your host, Katie, Lady Griffin on the forums, and today I am joined by...
Hey everybody, my name is Alias, also known as Zach, Alias on the forums, of course.
Hey, I'm Ted on the forums, my name's Eddie.
My name's Matt, my forum name is Eiffel.
And just to give some context for our discussion today, for those who don't know, Mass Effect is a trilogy of sci-fi RPG games developed by Bioware and published by Electronic Arts. Following the adventures of one Commander Shepard as he or she faces down the threat of the Reapers, interdimensional robots who threaten to purge the galaxy of sentient life as part of a mysterious 50,000-year cycle of destruction. The trilogy received wide acclaim between 2007 and 2012, with Games Radar calling it the best new franchise of the generation and a high watermark for video game as a storytelling medium. It has been praised for its character development and lived-in world. And I guess we'll go around and tell each other our history with the franchise, starting with me. I got into Mass Effect relatively late. Mass Effect 3 had already come out. Plus I heard all this buzz online about the ending, and I knew it was only a matter of time until somebody shit all over my parade. So I went out, bought 2, played it in about 2 days, and then ran out, bought 3, beat it in about 2 days, and then eventually picked up ME1 when it was finally released on PS3, and have been obsessed with the series and replaying it ever since.
Cool. For me, I was introduced before Mass Effect 2 was out, though when I got the game, Mass Effect, it was definitely a while after it was released. But I got it for Xbox for my birthday. When I first tried to play it, I got extremely frustrated during the, I think, Novaria level, where you have to drive the Mako up to the site, and I was so bad with the controls, I died like 12 times, and having to start over so many times, I got so mad I actually quit playing and didn't go back to it for a while until Mass Effect 2 was released, and I thought I would give it another shot since this was like a new game that a lot of people apparently thought was really good. So I played Mass Effect 2 without having beat 1, and I loved it so much that I went back, of course, and played 1, then played them both a bunch of times until 3 came out and played that too. So that's kind of how it played out for me.
Yeah, I remember hearing about the hype about the first game, but it came out on console, and I'm a PC player, so ended up picking up 1 in a Steam sale, played it, really liked it. 2 came out, played it for about 300 hours plus, and picked up and then got really excited for number 3.
So I, in the lead up to Mass Effect 2, I heard about it and I wanted to play it. So I played it a couple times, really enjoyed it, and then waited eagerly for Mass Effect 3. I actually never played 1. I really did not enjoy the planet scanning, and everyone said that there was a game function that was very similar in Mass Effect 1. So I never even went back. So a lot of the backstory I had to go through the wikis and stuff to figure out.
In Mass Effect 1, you don't have planet scanning, but what you do have is, in the side quests, you have to travel around very poorly designed planets that are all kind of the same, and it's a lot of traveling, so I guess that might be what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was just driving around and stuff, and the planet scanning would make me want to put down the controller. So
I think I'm the only person who liked the planet scanning. I found it relaxing too.
No, I liked it.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed doing it. I don't know. I like monotonous tasks sometimes.
I figured out on various playthroughs to get 100%, you only needed to get 1 source on each planet.
I liked it it was very soothing. I'd turn on an audiobook or something and go through all the planets, just get it over with in one sweep. In Mass Effect 1, the running around in the Mako, which I think it was Yahtzee on Zero Punctuation, you described it as a refrigerator with wheels.
That's perfect.
Very tedious. But we'll also go around and briefly explain your favorite game in the series and your least favorite, and also your favorite moment and your least favorite moment. And starting with me, my least favorite is definitely Mass Effect 1. I mean, it's a perfectly decent game. It's enjoyable. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I did the first time, but it's really starting to show its age. And controversially, Mass Effect 3 I actually enjoy more than ME2, even though the second game I think is objectively the best. I've said it before, but ME3, there are just moments in that game that are so emotionally high that for me it's the most enjoyable in the series and the one I always look forward to playing. And if I had to go with a favorite moment in the entire trilogy, really hard to pick. It would probably be the opening of Mass Effect 2, which is probably the best intro to any video game I've ever played. And then there's a moment in Mass Effect 3 when Liara asks you what you want put in the time capsule, how you want history to remember you, that I found it really unexpectedly touching, and I think I might have teared up the first time I played it. And I don't know if I have a least favorite. Anything that has to do with Kai Ling in the third game.
I have a least favorite. Sorry, go on.
No, just anything with Kai Ling, because I can't think of any characters I hate in the series except for him, and it's not because he's a bad guy, it's just because he's lame. Anyway, go on, Zach.
Oh, well, Kai Lang, I was one of the 5 people who read Mass Effect Revelations, which is where he's introduced as a character and kind of explained, but even I thought that the way he was done in Mass Effect 3 was pretty disappointing. But I definitely agree with you that Liara was excellent overall, I felt, in Mass Effect 3. Definitely a really big step up for a character, whereas I felt like a lot of the other ones kind of fell by the wayside, or at least some of them. But favorite game, it's difficult for me to pick a favorite game because, I don't know, I've enjoyed them all for different reasons. I think that there isn't one that I feel like stands out above the rest, but I guess if you were to judge by the times I've played it, I've played Mass Effect 2 the most, for sure. But I guess that's unfair to Mass Effect 3 because it's more recent and I haven't really gone back to it too much. But I guess the reason why I haven't gone back to it is because I didn't enjoy it as much. So yeah, I'd say Mass Effect 2. And then for favorite moment, it is in fact a Mass Effect 3, and I'm sure I'll be talking about this more later, but spoilers obviously. But if you do the Paragon playthrough for the most part, and you keep Morden alive, and you have him with the genophage research, he does die during the Chuchanka level, and that part was just so emotionally huge for me. Definitely like the biggest emotional moment for me in games, where I was genuinely so distraught and so torn apart by him dying, because he was by far my favorite character, and it was just too much for me. And I can't think of any time in games that I've felt like that before. So yeah, definitely my favorite for that reason. And least favorite is the ending of Mass Effect 3, which again, I'm sure we'll be going into later. It's basically the polar opposite for me.
So for the games, like I said, I only played the 2, and I thought both of them were really good. I liked 2 better, but that doesn't mean 3 was a bad game. I actually enjoyed 3 for the most part. It definitely had its moments, like what Zach was saying. I don't think I ever felt emotionally attached to a game as much as some of the things that they hit on 3. But my favorite moment was the ending of 2. You spend all this time getting together this team, so you kind of felt like everything that you had poured hundreds of hours into really accomplished something at the end. And I really enjoyed that. My least favorite probably was the ending of 3, but that was just because of a little bit of disappointment. I mean, the least favorite was probably just planet scanning. Like for me, I just really wanted to get back into the action, and for me, it was just like, man. And I was really bad at resource management or something, because I felt like I always was stuck somewhere and I always had to do it. So, but I thought they did a lot better on the second part where they had the Reapers.
Right. My favourite game's probably 2. I've only actually played 3 through 1.5 times. Getting to the ending just made me feel quite empty at the end, because it was just, as soon as you go through the relay, it's awesome, Paragon, awesome, Paragon, awesome. And then the last 10 minutes is, what?
Yes, exactly.
Just, mate, and all the stuff afterwards and all the chat on the forum, I just haven't really played it since. So I'd probably say 3 is my least favourite game. Favourite moment would probably be the ending run on Mass Effect 2 with the team, because the first time I did it, I just made all the wrong decisions and everything. Most of the people died, so...
That's awful.
But the boss fight, when the human Reaper comes up, and it looks really freaky because it's got 3 eyes, and it's like, I stock up on heavy ammo and just use the cane. So I nuke it twice and it's dead. But the first time I didn't have that, so I just ran out of ammo, so I was just down to the pistol. And the first time I was doing that is like really crazy. And the least favourite bit's the ending. So
That's cool.
That's me.
That makes a nice segue into talking about story bits and our own individual experiences with the franchise. And it's interesting that you say you made all the wrong decisions at the end of ME2, because I have my own story to tell about bad decisions in Mass Effect. But at the hazard of avoiding the big pink L-core in the room, the ending tends to dominate a lot of conversation when talking about the trilogy. And so we're going to hold off talking about the ending until we get some more story stuff out of the way. So hold off your constipation. I'm a known apologist for the ME3 ending, so it'll be an interesting debate. I'm sure I'll be torn to shreds. But you said you messed up at the end of ME2. I have to ask, did you send Jacob down the tube to do the tech stuff?
No, I sent Tally down, but the leader of the second team, I had Zaid, because I thought, he's an old warrior, but he just ends up charging, and so he died at the end. And then I think I had Morden on the final fight, and he died. I didn't have him with me, and I sent Grunt back with the crew, so Morden ended up dying as well, and someone else, I can't remember.
The only person I lost at the end of 2 was Miranda, and it was at the very, very end.
Oh no.
Yeah, as you're leaving and it gives that shot of, usually it's like a pile of bodies of just the people who didn't make it holding the line, and Miranda was the only one there because I took Jack's side during that conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was so distraught.
How did you like Miranda? You felt bad about losing her? Because there's this hilarious image of someone who really doesn't like Miranda, and when you have to select who you want to go, you have the guy like pressing the button over and over again on the option that obviously is going to screw her over. It was hilarious.
I don't know, a lot of people don't like Miranda, but I thought she was a lot of fun.
I liked her.
I thought she was a really interesting character. The things that they did to her and the stuff that she had to do. I remember when you talk about decisions, that Jack Miranda part, I knew it was coming up or something because I was a horrible wiki guy. So I just put off that moment as far as possible, trying to like bump up my Paragon so that by the time I got there, I could take both their sides and kind of like prevent that from happening.
It took me a long time to really understand the Paragon Renegade system. I was just not paying attention to it, so I didn't have nearly enough points to settle that argument. So when Miranda's loyalty went away, I was like, oh, how'd that happen? And then, she was my one casualty, and it really upset me. But it made protecting her sister in 3 all the more satisfying.
Definitely the sort of completionist, the guy who has to look up how to do things perfectly, and I did that with Mass Effect 2 so I wouldn't lose anybody, but I did mess up the loyalty on Miranda, but I was able to keep her alive by not making her do anything important.
You didn't lose anybody.
I didn't lose anybody the first time, I don't believe, though there were close calls, I think, because I often have had to send Morden back to escort the crew back to the ship, which I think was a dangerous job for him, and that always kind of freaks me out because, again, I love Morden, so I don't want to lose him.
But that's actually one of the 2 ways you can save him, because if he's in the final fight, no matter what, he dies. He's either got to be with you in the boss fight, or you send him out with the crew.
So I'm assuming that anyone who is listening to this podcast is at least vaguely familiar with how Mass Effect as a series works. But generally what we're discussing is a dialogue wheel heavy RPG in which you're giving a freedom to decide how conversations play out, how relationships are managed, and in some circumstances, who dies on certain missions. And so all of us played the same game, but we essentially had very different experiences with different outcomes for several missions. Which leads me into my next question, which is, what was your worst oh shit moment? And did you restart your save? Because when I'm playing a Bioware game, especially for my canonical first run, I live with my mistakes. I live with my decisions.
I wish I could do that. I'm not capable of that. I have to have it perfect.
Because otherwise, it breaks the feeling of I'm telling the story of my Shepard. And so if my Shepard screws up, so be it. Unless it's really egregious, which I have a story about the only time I've ever restarted a save when I screwed up. But otherwise, I live with those choices, and it becomes the shape of my story, and it feels much more significant when I do well or when I do bad. Does no one else do that?
I totally respect that idea. Like, totally think it's a smart thing, and I think I tried to do that for 3 because I do believe in that idea. But I'm just so tied to having a successful playthrough that I perceive and not losing anybody. I just don't want anything bad to happen. So I have this strange obsession with that. So yeah, that's why I do often sometimes reload or just make sure I'm on the right path before I get there.
Yeah, I either checked my path or what I like to do. So when it was the Geth Quarian decision in 3, I actually wanted to see what would happen if I picked the Quarians because I had the peace option that would save both of them. So what I would do is I would do a save and then choose a decision. You see the clips and everything that result from that, and then I would just go back and reload it and pick something else.
That's cheating.
No, it's not cheating. I was just curious. I knew what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to see what would happen. So
you guys are weak.
Totally weak. I can't even play Renegade at all in this game or any other Bioware game where you can do evil things. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't be mean to these pixels.
Oh my god. Okay, we'll talk about Renegade, Paragon stuff a little later. But as far as big uh-ohs, for me personally, I have 2. And the big one that I think disturbed me, genuinely I think disturbed me worse than any gaming decision I've ever made, is that Quarian Geth decision. Because I was a little wasted at the time when I was playing that mission. And so when the dialogue wheel comes up where you are called upon to choose, I don't remember if the wording was just suspect or what I thought was actually happening, but I thought taking the middle road would get the Geth killed. I think that's what I was reading into it. So I was like, well, fuck the Quarians. I'm just going to side with the Geth. That'll work out. And then, Tally's jumping off a cliff.
Oh, that must have been horrifying. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. It was just a pit in my stomach. I couldn't even think straight. What have I done? I felt like the biggest monster in the universe. And then, of course, you go back on the Normandy and you're walking around, and at first, when you talk to everyone, they're sad. They're like, oh, it's such a shame about Tally. But then the next time you click them, they're back to, hey, Shepard, you want to play strip poker? It's like, guys, come on.
Tally's dead. Come on.
He's totally dead. And so in my game, my canon run, Tally always dies at Rannoch because that's how my story worked out. But the one time that I broke my rule and went back and replayed a save was the ME3 mission with Samara when you go to deal with her daughters. And I put the controller down to blow my nose, and then she shot herself. I missed that prompt, Paragon prompt, to keep to stay her hand.
I love when I take my hands off the keyboard, then I see when I dive forward to make sure I hit it. Those are awesome. That was a nice idea. It
was so bad. I was like, Samara's one of my favorites. Fuck that. That doesn't count. Do over. That is the one time I have said no and broke my code.
I feel that one is definitely sudden. You have to be ready for that one because she just does that out of nowhere.
That was one of the reasons that I actually looked stuff up, because I was always confused by the wording. Sometimes you would think, I know what I want to do, but I don't know which one of these choices.
Right.
Well, they are sometimes quite deceptive because they don't necessarily play out like you would expect. You might say something that accidentally initiates a romantic relationship with someone you don't want to. I've had that happen in Mass Effect 3 when I'm playing FemShep with Loco guy. What's his name? James? Yeah, James Bacon.
Yeah, James.
Yeah.
I always beat his ass.
Yeah.
So did you guys play as FemShep?
Yes.
Yeah. I started off playing ME1 with Manshep as a soldier, and then I switched somewhere after I played ME2 first time.
The longest time for me, I did play as Broshep a ton, and it took me a while to detach myself from his default archetype as the main shepherd, but I eventually got into FemShep and realized that Jennifer Hale is infinitely better than Mike Muir.
Yeah, she's
emotive. Yeah, she's amazing.
So it's a completely different experience.
As FemShep? As Broshep?
As FemShep.
I think even though the lines are much exactly the same, I think the voice actor's acting is just slightly better.
Well, yeah, as a voice actor, she kicks Mark Mears. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, Mark Mears is actually a really talented voice actor, but I think the direction they gave him was really poor in the franchise. But yeah, Jennifer Hale she knocks it out the park. She sounds like a fucking pit bull when you get her angry. But as far as gender affecting the story, I think they're pretty good about keeping it even on both sides, aside from who you can romance.
Okay. Because I had read something where it's if you play as FemShep, it's not a completely different experience, but it's more fulfilling. It's a better story. And maybe it just has to do with the voice acting.
So all three of you played as FemShep then?
I haven't.
Well,
you haven't? Okay.
I haven't.
All right. So I was going to ask who you romanced then.
FemShep Liara, because I just like Liara.
That is all that. Any dude I ever talked
No. It's not because she's... Honestly, because the first time I played Mass Effect 3, romanced Tali, and I didn't like how that played out. But Liara was so good in Mass Effect 3 as a character, by far the best for me. So that's why I did that.
Not you didn't want to see making out with
No, that's not why. I promise.
I ended up in ME3 going with Liara, but during my first FemShep playthrough with 2, I was sweet on Kelly. And that goes back to my oh shit moment, because when you're too late, Kelly gets liquidized. It's like, what? I really like you. And then it really pissed me off in ME3 when she died as well.
Yeah, you can save her in ME3, but I don't remember if she gets... No, she doesn't get mulched in mine, but that would have upset me. There would have been no one to feed my fish when I get back. Poor Kelly.
Mass Effect 3, you can buy a fish feeder. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Though, what's her name in Mass Effect 3? Pretty good. I can't remember her name. Specialist Trainer, I want to say? Trainer?
Oh, she's a cutie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
The girl with the toothbrush.
Did y'all play Citadel, the DLC?
Oh, I haven't. That's the one I haven't gotten a chance to
No, I
play.
haven't.
Jeez.
I stopped playing at the Leviathan one, so I played the Leviathan one and stopped.
I think a lot of the DLC in ME3 is a little ham-fisted, but Citadel it's like a Christmas special with all your friends that are invited. It's wonderful. If you play nothing else involving Mass Effect for the rest of all time, it's worth picking.
That's definitely my goal to get to that one, because I have heard good things besides that. And I've played the other ones, and like you say, they definitely are not too great. They're just kind of like Cerberus killing levels with a little bit of dialogue.
Did you guys play the From Ashes one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Well,
That
I like the flashbacks. Yeah, it's fun, but it's still really small in scope. You just kind of go through this level that you've seen the model of before, but the flashbacks are cool.
Well, no, just getting Javik, I feel like that adds so much to the game.
Yeah.
That was a DLC where it's like, why didn't they include this on day one? Well, you could buy it on day one, but that felt like something that should have been in the game and not as...
Well, that was a big controversy with the release, the fact that they had day one DLC that clearly should have been in the game. People felt like it should have been a part of the experience that you bought.
Yeah, because he's not like Kasumi or Zaid, where you get this fun little companion off the side. His scenes are actually pretty impactful on what goes on.
Yeah, he had a really interesting just point of view throughout the entire thing.
It makes the despair feel so much heavier when he's just in the background going...
Yeah, we're fucked. Yeah.
That can't be true!
You saw it with your own eyes. The goddess Athame was Prothean. You wanted to know more about your history, Asari. Now you do.
I have a name. It's Liara Tassoni, and I'd appreciate you using it from now on.
Hey! Settle down.
My home was just destroyed, and all he can do is gloat.
Given what's happened today, I think you owe Liara an apology, Javik.
Apologize for the truth?
For not doing more. You're a Prothean. You were supposed to have all the answers. How could you not stop this from happening?
We believed you would. Long ago, we saw the potential in your people. Even then, it was obvious. The wisdom, the patience. You were the best hope for this cycle. So you were guided when necessary.
Well, it didn't work.
You're still alive, aren't you? Your world may have fallen. But as long as even one Asari is left standing, the fight isn't over.
I guess that goes for Protheans, too.
Despair is the enemy's greatest weapon. Do not let them wield it. Liara Tassoni.
That was... unexpected. Thank you.
We still need her talents. If grief overcomes her, she will be lost to us.
So did you actually mean what you said?
Does it matter?
Liara means a great deal to me. It matters.
Then I will tell you what you want to hear. I meant what I said.
They had the hard task going into ME3 of giving you a new crew on the Normandy and giving you James and Sam, and I think when they first were showing concept art for those characters, people were really like, nah, we want people from ME2 back, but I think against all odds, those characters were very easy, surprisingly easy to warm up to, especially James, who I cannot laud Freddie Prinze Jr. enough for making that character as adorable as he is.
I was just gonna say he's not bad, though. I got annoyed playing his femship when he kept calling me Lola. My name's not Lola, okay? Stop calling me Lola.
You can tell him to shut up. You can say nuh-uh.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, in the fight, you can say, cut that shit, it's Commander.
Too Paragon for that. Oh, too nice. They'll lay down the law with these people.
I was always Paragade. 60-40, 60% good guy, 40% Han Solo.
Yeah, I went Paragon, but chose some Renegade Interrupt.
Well, they're so funny sometimes, like when you kick the guy off the roof on Ilium.
Yeah.
That part is awesome.
That's why I went pure Renegade the first time I went through. Like, by the end, my entire face was glowing. All those scars. But you got to kick so many people off of buildings that it made it all worth it.
Punching reporters in the face.
Oh, yeah. Kasima bin Al-Jilani, whatever her name is. Gotta punch her.
That is one thing that God bless Mass Effect, I love it, but there are just some points where I think Dragon Age has it beat. And the fact that you could be like the most sycophant bastard despot in the galaxy, and Liara and Garrus will still be your buddies.
Yeah.
You can shoot Samara's daughter cold, and nobody will say anything, because you're Commander Shepard, you're a good guy.
Yeah, I think the Renegade choices do get slighted in the writing quite a bit. They obviously do get some cool prompts, but I feel like the story always tends toward the more fulfilling option for Paragon, because that's the canon Shepard, I guess.
I think the most horrifying one I ever saw was the option to shoot Morden in the back.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to live. Oh my god.
When was that?
Okay, so in ME3, when he's going to cure the genophage, and I got pretty close to shooting him, because in my game, I didn't have Rex, I had Reeve, which made the decision to cure the genophage a lot more difficult. So I went along with the plan to sabotage right up until the end, where Morden shamed me into curing it. But if you continue to argue with him, he'll turn around and say, shoot me if you must. So you can...
it's Morden, though.
I know, you can totally... The Renegon trigger comes up, and you shoot him with the Califax pistol that he gives you in Image.
Yeah.
Shoot him in the back. and he manages to make it to the elevator and go up the tower, and then he crawls to the control panel and he's covered in blood, and he doesn't make it, and he dies.
Oh no.
And you know what the best part of that is? Rex, if Rex is in your game, he finds out. And so the next time you're on the Citadel, you have to kill Rex, because he will hunt your ass down and force your hand. So you lose 2 buddies if you're an asshole. Yeah, that's a pretty fucking traumatic Renegade choice.
It was traumatic enough for him sacrificing himself for me. Oh my god. I've heard of that, but I just could never do it, even if I played full Renegade.
You can also, there's another Renegade one where you can, besides shooting Samar's daughter, which is just ridiculous, but you can also just pump Legion so full of lead that he can't stand up, and it makes you pull the Renegade trigger, I think, 4 or 5 times. It's really brutal.
That reminds me of the bit in Mass Effect 1 where if you choose to kill Rex, you shoot him, and Ashley shoots him, and I think Caden shoots him, and they're all just shooting him like 12 times. It's hilarious.
Speaking of Ashley and Caden, who's your Vermeer survivor?
I don't like either of them. I honestly don't like either of them. Caden is annoying to me because his voice is the same as Karth Onassi from Knights of the Old Republic, and I hate Karth so much. He's so whiny. So that's why I don't like Caden. Yeah, exactly. And I don't like Ashley in Mass Effect 3 at all because she's whiny too. I worked for Cerberus. Get over it!
Yeah, I never found Caden very interesting, so I just went for the hot stuff.
Yeah, I think it was Ashley. I forget.
Caden was my BS, and he's really bland in the first game, but he has a better personality in 3. I actually enjoyed him a lot.
I need to play him with 3 because I really didn't like Ashley in 3, but I do like Ashley in 1. I think that is like the mix there. Like they make Caden better in 3. But Ashley...
God, I hate Ashley in 1.
Really?
Like I'm replaying it now, and I forgot she's just a bitch to Liara. I had completely forgotten about every.
Oh yeah, because she's a bit of a xenophobe, isn't she?
Totally, she's a space racist. But yeah, I've never had her in 3 because I always leave behind. Caden, he's boring, was cardboard in the first game, but I think they took note about that and made him a little, he's kind of just a fun, sweet guy in 3.
I feel like in 1 with Ashley, you do get her to get over the xenophobia a little bit, but I can't remember exactly.
Anybody, any other missions, any other characters that anyone wants to highlight or talk about? I will say that I think most people agree that curing the genophage, or at least for me, that was kind of an emotional high point for the series.
Yeah, that was for me, but a lot of people seem to say it was Thane's death, which I don't understand. That's for you?
So for me, the way that you felt with Morden, I felt with Thane. That he was my favorite character going through, and then just seeing him and his son was there and everything. I was pissed. I was ready to go go
that generic villain character's ass.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that was probably the emotional high point. But curing the genophage as well, just because of all the things that went around it, was definitely a big thing as well.
I was, I'm going to sound terrible. I was actually a little relieved when Thane died.
Me too. Explain.
Okay. I like his character. I like Thane a lot. I like his relationship with his son. But okay, in Mass Effect 2, I was trying to put the moves on Garrus, and it didn't work out. And so I was like, it's like, okay, fine. It's either Jacob or Thane. Duh. I'm going to go with Thane. But I didn't like his romance. I was not comfortable with it. And so when I first went into the hospital in ME3, it was like, oh God, I don't want to talk to him. It's my creepy ex-boyfriend who's been sending me emails. And so I just ignored him. I didn't talk to him at all. And
Thane's just over there looking at you.
I know.
just dying.
Hey, Shepard, how's it going?
So when he finally died, it was like, well, I guess I'm free to move on. My love life in Mass Effect was not too thrilling, but I felt like such a bitch. Like, oh God, Thane's over there. I don't want to talk to him.
See, I never really got the emotion. I love Thane. I think he's a cool character, but it's just the fact that his death was so inevitable. He was kind of living on his last legs, and he already said that he was fulfilled and happy. Like, I don't know. It didn't impact me as much. It felt right to me that he did what he did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was inevitable, but when I was playing it, I wasn't even thinking about that. I figured he would die on the battlefield, and just for him to die in the hospital.
He saves you from, what's his name, Kai Lang.
Yeah, but then after he succumbs in the hospital and everything. So I guess that was the whole thing. It was like, Thane came back, he saved me, now we've got something we gotta deal with.
But it was so satisfying, avenging him. Tell me everybody took that prompt when...
I took it. The stab in the back in the seat. Yeah, that's one of the...
Oh, yeah.
So satisfying. Okay, I can't get over just how much I fucking hate Kai Lang. Just, he's so lame. There's no reason to have a fucking katana when we are in a world with antimatter pistols. I'm sorry.
And, it sucks the way he exists in the story, because first of all, you don't give a shit about him unless you're like me, who read the book that kind of knows something about him. Even me, I didn't really care about him. But yeah, like, you don't really care, and then he bests you, like, constantly, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you play it perfectly, he's constantly beating you, and it's so frustrating that you lose the agency to, like, take this asshole down.
He always beats you in cutscenes as well.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You can't do
Right.
anything.
He sends you the most whiny, passive-aggressive
Oh yeah, the
email.
messages.
Oh, it's so lame. And yeah, it's like, I'll be there to write the final chapter. It ends with your death. Best, Kai Ling. Sincerely, it's so stupid. And then when you see, like, the videos with him and the Elusive Man later, by the way, the Elusive Man in ME3 is like, no, I broke up with Shepard. She didn't break up with me. He just bitches the whole game about how Shepard dumped his ass. That was a little disappointing for me. It's like, God, dude, get over it.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in ME3 what they did to the Elusive Man, because in 2 he was sort of interested, like, oh, whose side's he really on, and then they just went, oh, he's on their side. So I think he could have been a bit more grey area and have been a bit more interesting.
That final confrontation with him, between him and Anderson, though, almost getting to the ending. But I like that confrontation between Shepard's two deranged father figures.
Personally, I think everything after you shoot Marauder shields when he's trying to save you from awful, I feel like is the bad part of the ending. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of
Marauder shields. He tried to save us from the ending.
He tried his best.
You really don't like dying beside Anderson and how you did good, child, that didn't touch you a little?
I like that, but it's so, like, the confrontation with the Elusive Man, I just feel like he was such a dull villain in Mass Effect 3 because of, you guys say, like, his obsession, like, this sudden obsession with controlling the Reapers. I don't know, it just seemed really ham-fisted the way they were hammering with that.
Well, speaking of the ending... So, for those of you out in listener land, there was a bit of a controversy with the Mass Effect ending. You could say that.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Mass Effect 3, upon release, was met with numerous perfect and high-rating scores. The most cited point of criticism, however, was the ending. According to many critics and fans alike, the endings made player choice inconsequential, were nonsensical, and contradicted established lore. The most vocal opponents of the ending organized the Retake Mass Effect project in conjunction with the charity organization Child's by raising $80,000 before being shut down. The group later sent 400 cupcakes to Bioware in the 3 colors representing the palette swap at the end of Mass Effect 3. Desperate attempts to better the ending evolved in the form of the indoctrination theory, which later proved bunk. More extreme measures included fan attempts to involve the Federal Trade Commission and Better Business Bureau. Bioware later released an extended cut for free to expand upon the existing ending. None of this was helped by the fact that Bioware's response in the weeks surrounding the release of Mass Effect 3 were, in essence, poor. And so, since I'm in the minority here, I'll let you guys spout your fire, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
So when I played Mass Effect 3, I had to put it down for a while because of school. So I didn't finish it until after the DLC came out. All I heard was there was disappointment with the ending. So by the time I got to the ending and you go through there and you're running down that hill towards, some light. And while I was running, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I running towards this light? And why is this taking so long? It takes like 10 minutes, it felt. And just so you're going there, and then you have the part with the Elusive Man. And this is where I don't know what the original ending was because I played the DLC. So I get there and the little kid's talking, and you pretty much just have three decisions. Kill everyone, kill some of them, or, everyone dies. And I just felt like those aren't the kinds of decisions that Shepard made. And I just felt really disappointed that there wasn't some BAMF moment for Shepard at the end. And it really just came down to, it's like, well, let me roll this 3-sided die and figure out what I want to do. And so that was my biggest problem was, I wanted to go out. I didn't even mind if Shepard died at the end, but I wanted him to go out shooting, not making some decision while he was talking to this weird, creepy kid.
Yeah, with the DLC added, when I played it, it didn't have the slides at the end, and it didn't have the scene by the memorial. They just added a bit more clarification on what happened to everyone. But my fight is, I did all this shit on the Citadel during the game, and then suddenly, they took the Citadel. And it's like, all the people you worked your arse off to save on the Citadel, they're just all dead now, and you don't get to try and get them back.
And those particle flux reactors you mined off that one planet didn't even plan at all.
Yeah, stuff like that. And you were all right. The end is epic on epic on epic. You get down to then, you get past Marauder shields, and then you get up the elevator. And I just don't think their reasoning made any sense on why the Reapers were doing this. They were massive, big robots eradicating all life from the galaxy. So the life in the galaxy don't make big robots to eradicate life from the galaxy. That's what I was getting from it.
Pretty much.
Okay, so Mass Effect 3 ending. Honestly, the thing that, for me, pissed me off the most that I feel like a lot of other people experienced wasn't the fact that there weren't a ton of choices that you got to pick. Because honestly, we didn't need a ton of different plot-shattering choices at the end. And a lot of the justifications people make for that is because now they're continuing the series. They wanted it to play out in a certain way to set that up. That's fine. It's okay that it ends in a specific way. Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 both ended in a pretty specific way in the way that the broad scope played out. That's fine, because that doesn't matter. What matters is that you have to feel something when you're going through this thing. You have to feel like you did something important, that something changed, that you're having an impact. I didn't feel that at all when I went into the elevator and all that stuff played out. You mentioned this, Katie, on the last Korra podcast when you were talking about the Civil War bit, that you just didn't care about any of it. I didn't care about any of this stuff. Talking to this Catalyst kid who's condescending to me about how everything is and I have to deal with it and make these choices that I don't want to do. It was just completely drained everything away. It was like cold water dumped all over me, that it was just so frustrating, because it was like, why does this have to happen? This is my favorite fucking series ever, and this happened. I was so annoyed by that, and oh god, it was just awful for me. And stuff like not seeing any of this war asset stuff come to fruition was really annoying, because it didn't have to be like everything happened at once. All you needed, maybe like a Krogan battle battalion, like breaking through a wall and killing some people, or seeing like whatever happened play out, seeing that all of my assets had an impact. None of that meant much at all, besides like that 10-second teaser if you pick the red ending. It just sucks.
So,
You have more to say, but go on.
So I guess I should frame my response before I give it, because... Okay, so when I picked up Mass Effect 3, the internet was exploding. People were losing their goddamn minds. And so I knew that whatever the ending was, it had to be terrible. Like, it had to be just horrific to cause this kind of reaction. And you guys probably all remember, like, the reaction online in the video game community was huge. Bioware had no anticipation that the fans would rally together and cry for Casey Hudson's head like that. And so I made a list when I was going into the last half of ME3 of what I thought the ending could possibly be. And I think my list was something like, it's all a dream, or there's a reset button, or Shepard was indoctrinated the whole time, which might have been interesting, but whatever. And so when I got there and played to the end, I was like, wow, that's what people are crying about. That's what people are pissed off about. I'm actually kind of okay with this. And so I remember my biggest disappointment when the credits were rolling was that the last shot with Joker and Edie on the stupid jungle planet is lame. It's really dumb. And It's underwhelming, and it's like, really, that's the last shot they picked? And so that was my biggest beef at the time. And then going back, I was like, why wasn't I angry at those other parts? Why didn't it bother me? And I guess part of the reason was I never had a problem parsing out the Reaper logic, which was essentially that they were galactic gardeners. They come through, they weed out the most advanced civilizations before they can undo themselves so that the more primitive races can grow up so that all life can be preserved. It's gardening. You weed out toxic races so that your garden won't die completely. And I was like, all right, that's machine logic. I can roll with that. As for the Star Kid, this is something they established at the beginning of the game. It's kind of a 2001 reference. I'm totally cool with that too. To me, I guess what made the ending work is that the mass relays are destroyed. Because to me, that was huge. That was universe shattering. It's like, oh my god, you have just completely unmade this entire.
I think in the extended cut, they kind of established that they're just going to be able to rebuild it.
Okay, that's bullshit. Hey, I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, okay. I haven't played the extended cut, but I know kind of how it plays out.
But the thing is, I like that the mass relays got destroyed because they set the Reapers up as this unstoppable juggernaut. It's like fighting gravity or something. You just cannot conquer it. And so in order to destroy the Reapers and end this cycle, something has to be lost on a massive scale. And not just Shepard's life. It has to be the destruction of the mass relays that throws the whole galaxy back into the Dark Ages. And in the original cut, they don't show you what happens after Shepard dies to the companions. It's just, no, the galaxy is saved, but it's also fucked. And I thought that was actually a really interesting way to leave the series. I thought it was impactful. I thought it was upsetting. And so that's why I came away feeling pretty okay when the original ending came out. And it's why, as I watched the internet burn down Descenders and rage and sending cupcakes to Bioware, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Okay.
And I don't mean that in a condescending way, because I don't think contentment with the original ending is any more valid. It's just, I can't get angry about it. I can't get upset because it didn't upset me when I first played it. And I think BioWare's response of basically caving to fan fervor brings up a lot of questions of game as art versus products.
Right.
Artistic integrity is a shield wall against poor development and storytelling. A lot of interesting industry-altering issues came up around this, and I think that's in some ways bad for video games, and I think sometimes it's good for video games. But I didn't like that they went back and they caved to give everyone a more rounded ending, but also like, oh, look, everyone, the mass relays are totally cool. Everyone's fine. Your buddies are going to hang out even if you're dead. It's all fine. Nothing's lost. Liara's going to have your blue babies, I guess. It felt like such...
Blue babies.
Blue babies. It annoyed me that it's like, okay, even if your fans are incensed, stick by what you did. Stick by the story you told. And I hated that they went back and were like, they're never going to buy any more BioWare games if we don't fix this shit. We have to damage control it to the point that it's so obvious that we're catering. And I will say that, in essence, I think that's part of why Citadel was as good as it was nonstop pandering, and pandering in a good way. I think the extended cut was pandering in a bad way.
Well, I agree with you totally about the extended cut, and for the reasons you said, but also because I think they totally missed the mark on what the issues were. Because for me, it wasn't the fact that it wasn't a happy ending. I really get annoyed when people say, oh, you're just upset because it wasn't a happy, fulfilling ending. No, that's not the point. It's not because it wasn't happy. It's because I didn't feel like any of it mattered. I felt like so emotionless, felt like I wasn't playing a part in my story anymore. Just the emotion being lost is so bad because the story so far is so bedrocked in heroism and just being this hero, and to have that completely taken away with you for me sucks. And I don't even think the ending was that smart, like the way that it played out. I feel like it was just a weird twist meant to throw you off. I wasn't really a fan of that. I feel like the indoctrination theory, if not fun, which it should be, the ending should be fun. It's a game. It should be at least fun to some extent. Even if it's suicide, everything goes to hell at the end. We can't beat this. You should at least feel like you mattered along the way. At least the indoctrination theory was smart and was intelligently described and made sense throughout. I don't know. I just feel like the sudden twist with this catalyst explaining that the Reapers can be controlled or whatever it is, it's just so bad and so not interesting.
Mm.
The whole thing is pretty well written and pretty well produced. And then at the end, it seemed like it just wasn't given the amount of attention that the rest of the game was. It wasn't that I was angry. I don't understand those people who are, out protesting and trying to sue the company and everything. I wasn't angry. I was just more disappointed because you go through this whole thing, you have all these relationships, and then for me, the ending didn't make sense because I thought, you pick that final team to go to the final assault and you go down and you see those guys get mowed down, right? And so you're running towards that light. But then at the end, you see those guys actually in the plane taking off and crashing into that planet. So you see those people survive, which didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
The lack of production and attention to detail was really disappointing because how was my whole team on the plane flying around? Didn't I just leave them in that burnt down town? How are those guys flying around in space? Because I'm pretty sure I didn't tell them, hey, we're about to do the final assault. Everyone but 2 of my guys, you guys need to get out of here. I didn't say that. I figured the whole team would have just died on the planet. I was expecting something crazy like the Earth blowing up, destroying all the Reapers and everything. Like Shepard's dead, everyone's dead, but that final act of sacrifice destroys it all.
The ending is very much, you're right, like running towards the beam, what am I doing? Why are the Reapers collecting corpses? That was something that never made sense even in ME2. Of they grind humans up into goo so that they can make this giant baby with a lazy eye that's a robot. And it's dumb, guys. It's always been a little dumb. And so I guess the quality slope for me wasn't that drastic. And I will say that the one thing that really bothered me about the extended cut is that they made that Star Kid speech like 10 times longer. And I remember playing it the first time and my eyes started to glaze over. And the fucking dialogue wheel is like, can you explain that more? Tell me why. And it just keeps going and going. And it's like, Jesus, you didn't...
Exactly, yeah.
It's almost like they felt backed into a corner where it's like, now we have to micromanage something that was very simple, if a little opaque. And then they released Leviathan, and that was just a whole other shitstorm.
One of the things they said in the indoctrination theory is, why is controlling the Reapers the Paragon option when the Elusive Man, who's a dick, wanted to do that, and the Destroy, which is what you've been setting out to do all the time, is the red option? Now, after playing Leviathan, I think the reason Destroy is the red option is that if there aren't any Reapers around, the Leviathans, who are still alive, start doing their shit again. That's what I think is their reasoning behind it being red.
That's an interesting theory, actually.
Was Leviathan a DLC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you find out in Leviathan is that you essentially meet the creators of the Reapers, and they look just like Reapers, except they're not robotic. They're these big squid-looking things. And they basically talk about how thousands upon thousands of years ago, they had this empire that stretched across the galaxy, and they created the Reapers in their image to manage it better, and then, of course, the Reapers turned on them. And so, like, the Leviathans don't really help you at the end. They give you the Reapers' origin story, and then they peace out.
Well, that's the DLC in general. That's one of the problems with the DLC is they can't really have it have a huge impact. Not that really anything has a huge impact in Mass Effect 3, but they can have a huge impact because only some people have them.
Right.
Yeah. After you meet those guys and then like get away, all you get is a special ops team on your list of war assets.
That don't mean anything in the end.
Yeah.
A shotgun and an assault rifle.
Yeah.
So to go back to the ending a bit, beyond just the plot holes that were established by like leaving your squad behind and stuff, it was so disheartening for me to feel that sense of almost betrayal that I didn't have them accompanying me in this final bit. I didn't have my squad that I've been cultivating through 3 games, that it was like the basis, pretty much the main focus of the game is kind of developing your relationship with these squad members. And while I didn't think the Anderson bit was bad, I don't care about Anderson as much as my squad, because I haven't been with Anderson as much. So to have them not only not be with me, but then abandon me was so disheartening. And I don't know, that was one of the main issues with me, because I haven't played the Citadel DLC, but one of the points that I think is made there is that Shepard is nothing without his team.
Right.
I think that's sort of the point that is made when there's the VI, that they side with you, and that's what matters. And to not have them, I think, was just so emotionally draining, because that really is the game, and that it really is what matters. And to not have that sucks. That's like the biggest thing that sucks about the ending for me.
What's nice about Citadel DLC is that it ends on a very touching note, and you can take the ending as essentially the end of Mass Effect 3. Like, if you stopped playing after you played the Citadel DLC, you could put the controller down and saying, okay, I'm good, the story's over. It leaves you in a sweet enough and an ambiguous enough spot that you could accept that as your canon ending if you wanted to. As for your squad mates not being with you, I kind of figured at that point that Shepard was going to have to make the final decision alone. And I was fine enough with squad mates not being there, because the final farewells that you have with them, that was one of the most emotionally exhausting parts.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't think that's the way to do it. Like, the same thing exists in Dragon Age 2 where you, like, talk to everyone before you do your final thing. That's not how you should do it. It should be more organic than, like, going along the laundry list. It should let you choose who you care about, and it should highlight it better than that. But
I don't know.
I agree.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't know how they would do it, because it is very artificial of like everybody standing around and you go up to them one-on-one and people get called in, even though it seems impossible that you could get Jacob on the cell phone. And maybe it's just the video game medium where I'm willing to accept it, that it's like, okay, we're at the end. Everybody gather around, put your hands in the middle.
I think a video clip of everyone getting around putting their hands in the middle might have been better.
Yeah, something to show camaraderie and to show like things matter, even with outside of your squad. These don't need to impact the plot in a way that affects their weird cerebral way they wanted to go with this. Just show us some scenes throughout of the things we did matter. Something that showed like all these choices we made through the series played out in some semi-significant way. But I think one of the big issues they had when plotting out Mass Effect 3 is they may have a little bit late realized that the Reapers as a threat was so inevitable that they had to contrive a solution to at least give you hope that something could be done, which was the Crucible, which I thought was a really like not interesting way to handle it. And I think that they realized that was the only way to like set up a super weapon. This is how you defeat the Reapers, because there's no way that no matter how many people you get on your side that you're going to be able to stop them. And I think that because of that and because of the fact they had to like riddle out late how they were going to have this all play out, that it really wasn't as satisfying as it could have been. And like I said before, it didn't have to be that you defeated the Reapers, that you stopped them somehow. I feel like that going down blazing in a cool way would have been a lot better than what we saw.
I will say that there's a rejection option in the extended cut that
Right.
it's really
Yeah,
dumb.
I don't like that either. I've seen that
Yeah.
option. I don't like it either because I think that it's still not right. It's still
But-
rejection. I don't want to reject. I don't want to screw everybody over. I don't want to screw over the galaxy. I want to go down fighting. Sorry.
But
Yeah, I think they wrote that like that on purpose because the whole flame thing was like, oh, why can't we just say fuck off to them on the forum or whatever? So they just wrote it like that, just to say fuck you back.
I like the idea, though, because, I mean, if you want to pull out themes for the whole series, sacrifice is a big one. I was always partial going into Mass Effect 3 with the idea that it's not this cycle that defeats the Reapers, it's the next one, but they're only able to do it because of what these people did right here and now. And so I was rejection ending blowing its nose. Even though the rejection ending is, I think, pathetic, I like the idea at the end that it just gives a flicker of hope with Liara's time capsule and saying, may the next one be able to finish what we started. I like that. It's bittersweet.
Yeah, that's fine, but I feel like the approach was still really bad, the
Yes.
way you got there. I'm really not a fan of the idea that this was a super, like, smart ending, cerebral, and it was a really cool twist. I feel like it was super contrived and super unnecessary for a series that was so bedrocked in emotional moments and heroism. Like, the Morden part may not be, like, the most cerebral thing ever, but it made me feel something, and I think that's what matters this video game, this one in particular.
Yeah, it's like going from HBO and AMC to CBS. You know, like, it's really well written, it's really emotional, it's very well produced, and then it just goes to like this kind of like cookie cutter thing. I thought that there would be like a more unique video game ending for an extremely unique franchise.
My fear was that it would end like Gears of War or, fuck, I don't know, name any AAA third-person shooter of like everyone standing gazing at the sunset, somebody cracks a bad joke.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like that, yeah. Like I
I
said,
know,
it
that
didn't
was
have to
my
happen.
fear. That's what I didn't want to happen. You know, Joker takes his hat off. The camera follows his hand as he releases it into the wind. Like, something bad like that. Him and Edie on the planet is bad enough. I mean, that's like a Twilight Zone ending of Adam and Eve starting over again. It's ridiculous.
Especially
But-
if you pick the synthetic ending, which I did, which was a bad choice, by the way.
Yeah, I got first time I did that, I got guilted into it really because it said, "Oh, Edie's gonna die and the Geth are gonna die." It was like, great.
Yeah, the synthesis, I like the idea of Shepard sacrificing herself, but it's a dumb
Really dumb.
Everybody is now glowy. They have
And apparently, all their cells have micro circuits in them or something like that.
guys, it's so bad, it's so dumb.
It's terrible.
But I still was okay with the ending.
Okay. As a side comment, I feel like that if they had picked someone with Sovereign's voice to condescend to me besides the stupid kid, I might have been a little bit more okay with being told that nothing I've done matters. If it was Sovereign, that would have been better.
Sovereign does have a pretty awesome voice.
You exist because we allow it, and you will end because we demand it. Oh, yes.
So good. So
Or
good.
even, I mean, they had such a good voice actor for the guy who did the Elusive Man. Have him be controlled.
Martin
yeah.
Sheen?
Yeah. The West Wing, man.
I mean, that would have been a good thing. You know, anything but that brat kid that you've been chasing around in a forest all game.
That was a really weird way to introduce emotional turmoil for Shepard, but I don't know, these weird lucid dreams were strange, especially, I mean, I like it if the indoctrination theory would have played out, because I think it was a cool way of expanding his or her advancing sort of psychosis, but otherwise, nah.
I liked it. I like dream sequences in general, and it didn't feel right for the franchise, I will say that, but I totally ate it up. I like dreams.
So originally I thought he was just feeling a lot of guilt for that kid that dies in the beginning. And so he's just having all these dreams about this guilt.
Well, that's how they set it up.
Right, but then going back and looking at it, that's the same kid. What's going on here? And for me, it was also weird. It's like, why would he feel guilt about this one kid? Like,
because he's a kid. Because he's a kid, of course. That's how, it's so lazy. I'm just saying it's lazy. I'm agreeing with you.
Do you know how many people I pushed off of buildings?
The writing behind that is that they had to pick a face that represented everybody else who was dying.
No, I got it at the time, but then, once I saw the ending and I realized who the kid was, it served a completely different purpose.
See, I guess I was just reading it as a 2001 or like anyone ever seen the movie Contact, a reference to that of an alien choosing a shape that is soothing or comfortable to talk to a human being.
I think that's how it was. It was that the catalyst was manifesting in this form to, I don't know, maybe unbalance Shepard or something. But besides that, I think that throughout the story, I felt really weird about my guilt being centered at this kid I don't know anything about when I'm hearing these stories about all the people around me that have their family in danger and friends they've lost. I'm like, why can't I have that? That's cool.
That was one of the best parts of ME3 was the ambient dialogue of the refugees.
Yeah.
Right.
On the Citadel, just hearing their little stories, and each time you go back, they progress a little more. Like, there's a girl there who's waiting for her family, and they're obviously never coming, and there's a Turian guard who checks up on her every now and then and makes sure she's okay. It's all very sweet, and there's a guy who's bonding with Batarians, and eventually you see them playing poker or something at a table, and that poor guy who's trying to get a refund 2 games later. And apparently all those people are dead now, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just bad to say that.
Well, they're all dead.
They're all...
Did any of y'all ever hear about the Dying Sons plot that got...
Yeah, the Haystrom... Well, I think this original ending got leased, so that's why they had to rewrite it. But I don't think much would have changed. I just think the reason behind the Reapers would have been because they would have been gardening out instead of I think it was a propagation of dark energy or something, which is why that sun was going crazy.
Yeah, in Mass Effect 2, Tally's recruitment mission on Haystrom, she's there to check out this sun that is dying prematurely. And the idea was that Mass Effect fields are being used very liberally in the galaxy now, that each time they're used, they produce dark matter, which is killing the suns. I guess that would lead into why the Reapers are coming, essentially to pick out the advanced races before they further harm the solar systems or whatever.
I think that sun thing would have been a better ending. They had explained the Reapers that way. That sounds more interesting to me than...
I don't know. I feel like dark matter and that stuff. I mean, I guess it at least has some background to it, set it up, but still it seems kind of bad to me. Like, it's kind of not really fleshed out in a cool way, but maybe. Too bad that whole sun thing that was dying could have been a cool combat mechanic, but wasn't because you're always hiding behind chest-high walls anyway.
Speaking of chest-high walls... If we want to talk a bit about mechanics and knickknacks of the franchise, or if anybody played multiplayer, or any complaints you had about the gameplay, I mean, there are better third-person shooters out there, but it's a functional shooter franchise.
I really enjoyed the multiplayer on 3. I thought it was a lot of fun. But the problem with all of those kinds of multiplayers, as people started to lose interest in it, the pools were much smaller, so it was much harder to play.
That's kind of the common thing with all single-player games that have a multiplayer element tacked on. That's pretty much just how it goes, sadly.
Yeah.
I resent that multiplayer.
It plays into the story even though it really doesn't. Like getting the modifier, that sucks. That you have to get that most optimal thing. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't make much of a difference unless you really want that 10-second teaser of him.
They wasted valuable resources. They wasted valuable resources and time that could have been spent on the game. Because I will say, as much as I love Mass Effect 3, it is a slimmer version of the other two.
Yeah, I have that common complaint of most games that do add tack on the multiplayer to like justify the $60 price. Spend all of your time, all your money on the single player. That's what people legitimately care about. Though I guess a lot of people did like the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3, so maybe not. That's just kind of how I feel in general about that.
I'm just glad that they didn't go the way with Dragon Age 2, where you had the same dungeons over and over again. I didn't finish that game because of that. And I was
So if you played the multiplayer while you were playing the single player, it really sucks to experience the Cerberus side missions where you do those. They're the same maps that the original maps were in the multiplayer. That sucked.
Dragon Age 2 is a wonderful, vibrant game that everybody should love, and we'll talk about it on another day.
Ciao.
But anyway, if you're playing Mass Effect, chances are you're not really playing it for chest-high walls and shooting. You're playing it for the characters, and if you're me, you're playing it for the dialogue wheels, because I fucking love dialogue wheels. But I've noticed this is something that it's egregious in all the games, but I'm noticing it a lot more now that I'm replaying 1. There's not always a lot of justification for how Shepard inserts herself into other people's business. And I'm not talking like major characters, I'm talking about the little side missions that you happen upon. For instance,
exactly. I know.
I just ran into this man and woman arguing on the Citadel, and this is in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, about the kid, like the genetic modification.
Whether they should have gene therapy for her baby, and Shepard's like, I'm a Spectre, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that part was so dumb.
I know you're hurting, Rebecca, but don't let your grief hurt your baby too.
Can I help with anything?
My sister-in-law here is pregnant, and she's refused to let the baby undergo gene therapy in utero.
What are the chances that gene therapy could hurt the baby?
1 in 300 at most.
But extranet articles say there could still be long-term complications we don't know about.
It's Rebecca's child, Michael. I think you should honor her decision.
Damn it, she's not choosing. She's acting blindly out of grief.
Then support the baby's mother. Stand with her when she makes the tough decisions.
Like the laundry list of weird conversations is something that I think they are getting away from, like being like the shopping cart for people and helping them deal with their personal issues. Really weird in the context of this game.
Never mind that you're trying to save the galaxy. I'm going to totally hop over and find you that egg warming machine you need.
Exactly. Though it makes a little bit of sense in the context of your squad, but still, I've always felt a little bit strange when I'm picking up the mess sergeant guy some like food to better the food for the ship in Mass Effect 2. But, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rupert, maybe the one character in Mass Effect 2 who didn't make a reappearance in Mass Effect 3. I guess the last thing to talk about in this section is Paragon and Renegade, and okay, we're not talking about Dragon Age, but I will say that I think I prefer I've been playing Bioware like nonstop for the past few months over and over, and I'm really starting to prefer the Dragon Age model and how they manage character relations versus Mass Effect, because essentially with the Paragon and Renegade, what you're doing is you're opening dialogue options for Shepard. It's not really about your relationships with other characters, it's about adding spice.
Right.
Whereas with Dragon Age, you can really piss them off and get rivalry points or friendship points, or in Origins, I forget what it's called, but it's the same essence. Which feels
loyalty.
It feels a lot more personal, whereas in Mass Effect, it's just kind of like, I guess I can tell this guy to shove off now.
I agree with you for sure, though. I think, is there gifting in Dragon Age 2? Like, the gifting, I think, really kills that system a little bit. But overall, it's definitely stronger, I think, the way that plays out. Because, like you say, it's more personal. And I think that Paragon Renegade is a little bit basic at the end of the day in terms of the options it gives you. And it's really obvious what you're going to pick and how it's going to play out. Like with Hawk in Dragon Age, you do kind of realize quickly that the top option is good, middle is snark, and bottom is bad for the most part. But it is definitely overall more interesting. Though personally, I think I'm kind of more of a fan of the different options that don't explicitly say which is which, where like you get everything you're gonna say, opposed to the short blurb in the dialogue wheel that sort of fleshes itself out when you say it. I don't know. I kind of like knowing what I'm gonna say before I say it, but I guess that's just me.
Yeah, that was just really frustrating when you're like, I'll just pick this, and you say something completely different than what you expected.
What the fuck, Shepard? It's not what I wanted to say. Yeah,
I had that happen to me last night. I was so mad because it was right after like a long mission where I couldn't save, and Ashley was giving Liara shit, and so the bottom option was, I'm commander here, and I thought I was going to insert myself and defend Liara. Shepard fucking bites Liara's head off and is like, stop interrupting me on my deck. And I was like, that's not what I wanted to say at all.
I do think the dialogue wheel is smart in a lot of ways, but there's still room for iteration in terms of making it more complex and less obvious to figure out. Though I suppose at the end of the day, if you really want to like figure out the formula, you're going to.
Before we get to the Aftershow, the last part is that a few days ago they released, quote-unquote, the first images of the next Mass Effect game that they're working on. And when I say images, I mean it's...
They're at their computers and you see like models of things.
At their desks.
they've been pretty mum about the direction they're taking the series in. They won't even really confirm if it's a sequel or a prequel or even in the same universe or whatever. I would assume it'd have to be. But anybody have any sort of predictions of where this franchise is going? Are people going to come back to Mass Effect after they got burned from Mass Effect 3?
Well, I think it would be really interesting if they went back to the First Contact War.
Yeah, that's with the Turians.
Yeah, with the Turians, because the Turians you never really fight against them. And it would be kind of cool to go back and be primitive humans against the Turians and everything. But then you lose out of the other diversity as well. I don't think I would want to see a sequel, the guys on the jungle planet trying to figure everything out. So.
You have to, I can't imagine what the antagonist of a new Mass Effect series would be. They would have to downscale it so that it's like a personal villain or something, because you can't beat the Reapers in terms of threat. Galactic extinction is a pretty high bar to set.
It'll be the Leviathans. They'll be back, and they're mean now. No. I'm just kidding.
And they're mind controlling everyone.
I kind of do feel that way that you said, that I am kind of burned out on the series after Mass Effect 3. I do think that it's like a really smart sci-fi universe that can be explored a lot further, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there to further give us. But still, for some reason, after that, I do kind of feel like I'm done with it. I'd like to see them explore something new as a studio. I think that this series should be left alone. Because, it's a funny thing with games, whenever you hit the 4th iteration, that starts to really feel like they are milking it a bit. I feel like that's going a little bit too far.
Yeah. Trouble is their publishers are Electronic Arts, and they're famous for this sort of thing.
Without Shepard, I feel like it's not Mass Effect.
Right.
And so I don't know if I would come back, because you would have to find some emotional attachment with some other character. And they did so well with Shepard that I don't think you would be able to recreate that.
I mean, bringing up the specter of Dragon Age over and over. But Mass Effect, it was the story of one person. And what Dragon Age gets away with is that essentially they're telling the story of an era, the history of this one century. And so each game centers around a different historical figure, which I like that. I like that every time you get into a new Dragon Age game, it's something fresh, it's something new, you have a new cast. And so if they try that with Mass Effect and bring in someone new, I'd buy it. I'm not even going to pretend, even if I was completely burnt out. No, I'd totally invest in a new Mass Effect series.
Probably wait for it to be on offer, maybe.
Right. I would buy it, I would say. But to address the Dragon Age thing, I think that one of the issues is that Mass Effect came out after they were sort of more interested in giving us more of a character as opposed to us being the player. Because I think that in Dragon Age Origins, I forget what the guy's name is. Warden, right? He's not really a character much at all. I feel like it's more focused on the overall story and playing off your other characters. Whereas Shepard and Hawk both are more characters of themselves because of the way they've adapted their dialogue system and the way they have them play out. Of course, the fact that they're V8 is huge in terms of characterizing them. But
I hope that we never go back to an unvoiced, because I couldn't get invested in the Warden in Origins. It's just it's a blank slate, this hollow-eyed doll that you're controlling, whereas I like that Hawk and Shepard feel like people that you're molding into, they have their own personalities, but you're molding that personality into something that works for you.
Yeah, they've done that as well with Star Wars: The Old Republic, because every single line of dialogue in that is voiced, I think. So they're certainly used to doing it like that now, and that's a Bioware game.
You don't want to get me started on that one, so I don't know. I followed that game forever and was very disappointed with the result, and I don't think fully V8 system works in MMOs, but just a side thing.
So, without further ado, I think we're going to bow out and then get into our after shows, where you guys are up for some snakes and scorpion action, if you have nowhere to be. You ready?
Shepard, you cannot stop us. Embrace perfection. Ignore the fallen. We fight as one. You cannot stop us. Overwhelm them. Your form is fragile. I sense your weakness. Attack. I know you feel this. This changes nothing. You will not stop me. We are the harbinger of your destiny. We are harbinger. You are vermin. I will direct this personally. Neutralize Commander Shepard. Pitiful. Shepard. Irrelevant. Shepard. Attack. This is what you face. Shepard. Pitiful. Shepard.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
I'm fine. Just kind of really pissed at myself for getting mixed up on the timelines and stuff.
It's alright, we just, we wrapped it up at about 90 minutes, so we've been burning for a while, but if you are up to playing some Snakes and Scorpions Mass Effect style...
Oh, yes.
Alright, I have a list here. Oh, Peter, introduce yourself.
This is Peter. I'm known as Shellfish on the forums.
If you want to tell us your history with the Mass Effect franchise real quick and your favorite game in the series, that would be great.
I was actually a big fan of Knights of the Old Republic, and I was following the development of the Old Republic MMO back in the day and hanging around those forums, and inevitably ran into some comparisons to Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and so I decided to pick them up and ended up liking them a lot better than the Old Republic. And for my favorite game, definitely 2, and probably 3 after that, and 1 is probably the last one. 3 had its problems, but still had better combat system and emotional high moments over 1, so yeah.
Alrighty then, so I'm not going to assume anything about anybody's sexuality, but for the sake of the game, anything goes, alright? No holding back. So, I'll toss everyone a softball. Tally. And to establish the rules again, marry, one-nighter, or out the airlock. There we go. That's good. Alright, Tally.
Yeah, maybe love interest / mistress, like, well, she might be marriage material too, but I'm kind of creeped out by the Tally fans on the forums, so that kind of carries its baggage.
Yeah, you know, my first time through 3, I romanced Tali, and it just didn't really fulfill me at all in the way it played out. Getting the stock photo at the end instead of actually seeing what her face looked like. It just, I don't know. She's cool, I guess, but she never really grabbed me, especially in 3.
She's got the birthing hips. Big old Tally hips.
Are those actually her hips, though, or just like extended by the metal? I don't know. Questions worth considering, of course.
Yeah,
But
I liked her.
her.
I liked her. I didn't find her that interesting, but she could work on my engine.
Yeah, I did. In 3, she was my romance, and I just thought it was really weird for the most part. So, but probably one night.
I'd marry the shit out of her and talk her out of jumping off that cliff. Alright, old Garrus Vicarian. Marry.
He has reach, we know that.
He's a charmer. He's an absolute charmer. I was trying to explain to Inca's Rain, Mihal, who I do the Corecast with, because she saw a picture of him on Tumblr, and I was like, yeah, you can totally bag him. And she's like, why would you want to? And I was like, no, you don't understand. He's charming. It doesn't matter that, he's got an exoskeleton.
And he's Batman, so definitely marry for me.
Archangel.
The hero that Omega deserves.
Yeah, I love Garrus. He's really fun and stuff, and I would marry him, but there is definitely that level of hesitation with the Turian anatomy you would have to get over.
Yeah, Mary definitely. I mean, he's probably one of the best people just to sit down and talk to.
Yeah, crack some beers out with him, shoot some bottles thrown up in the air and stuff.
Though he'll be calibrating often, so you have to take that into account in any marriage.
Miranda.
One night.
Yeah, one night.
Yeah, I don't think yeah, one night for sure. I don't think I could deal with genetically engineered perfection in my life constantly. I would feel inferior all the time. So yeah.
Definitely one-nighter. Ashley.
Airlock.
Yeah, I'm airlocking that one. I just don't like Ashley very much.
Especially when she starts quoting poetry.
Tennyson, come on. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods.
Thanks for reminding me of that bit.
Sorry about that. It won't happen again.
Yeah, definitely airlocking that.
Yeah, airlock.
Gun per mile, whatever it takes.
Joker. His bones would snap like balsa wood out the airlock with that asshole.
Yeah, and he'd just be constantly cracking jokes. It just would ruin the moment totally. Though, I might marry him. I don't know. I like funny in my life.
Is he funny, though? He's more bitter than actually funny.
I like his wisecracks. I think that some of them fall flat, but some are pretty good.
He goes dark at times, though. Like, he does.
Yeah. I thought he was called Joker because he was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, that was the joke, is he never smiled in the Flight Academy or whatever. Did y'all ever find that little Easter egg in 3 about his sister?
Yeah, it's Asari in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Your memorial. Yeah, unfortunate.
Okay, so speaking of Joker, say what?
I was just gonna say he's got Edie, but I'm guessing that's where you were going.
Yeah, Edie.
She creeps me out, really. She doesn't sleep, just watches everyone, so... Well, I guess you can't really throw the ship out of the airlock, so maybe self-destruct.
Yeah, it'd be like dating Data from Star Trek.
Exactly. I have the same issue with her as Miranda, though. I guess it's worse because she's a hyper intelligent AI, and to get over the metal robot part too, which I don't think I could.
I'd definitely marry her. She'd take care of you when you got old.
She's nice for sure, yeah, and she's Trisha Helfer.
Well, that's why the airlock's a great idea, because, I mean, I like Edie, but, if you throw her out, you can always bring her kid.
Yeah, but if you try to go out of the airlock, she won't let you.
That's right, you can't open the airlock on this. You also can't go into the opposite gender's bathroom for some reason on the Alliance ship in 3. See, when you had the Cerberus ship, Norman...
Right, they'd say just get the fuck out. She'd be like, you're in the wrong place, but you can't get it at all in 3. I tried that, and...
Fucking Alliance regs.
I think it could go bad, though. Jealous or like a clingy AI would not be fun, especially if you're flying around inside her. You know what I mean.
Caden, Canadian bacon. Marry the shit out of him.
Out that airlock.
Yeah, airlock. He's more white bread than Canadian bacon to me. There's nothing to him really. Is there?
I need to play him in 3. I have yet to play a game in 3 where he was important. So yeah, I think that might improve my opinion. But like you mentioned earlier, in Mass Effect 1, he's just nothing. He's so boring, and he's Karth, and I can't get over that.
Yeah, the Bioware male supporting character syndrome, Carthonizer syndrome.
Oh, from the fact that he's Karth, he's out the airlock, and then probably shoot him as he's going out.
He was my rule. I have to. Plus, his parents have some lakeside property in Vancouver, so I have to hit that up.
Also, the professor from one of the Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes.
Oh yeah, he's
professor
the guy.
of anthropology from Ba Sing Se University.
Yeah, I know the voice.
Thane, Mr. Frog.
Well, it's a quite short-lived marriage.
So one night.
Definitely one night. Yeah, if you romance him, Morden gives you the damage report on your sex life, basically. He's like, you need to watch out when you make it with Drells, because they have some skin secretions that might, make you hallucinate.
Oh, Morden's pantsless.
I didn't know about that. I'd marry him. I guess the whole him dying thing sucks, but he's just such a nice guy. He has such a nice philosophy on life.
Yeah, I love Thane. Thane was great. I would marry him.
Yeah, I love him as well. I think I'd marry him, and he's living quite a stipend for Goliath, I think. So if you marry him, I think you might get in on that, like inheritance a little bit.
Liara, Dr. Tassoni.
Marry and have lots of little blue children.
Absolutely, she is wife material to a T.
Yeah, I think I'd marry her. I was really turned off by her cold shoulder in 2, but I think she evens out in the end. So yeah, marry.
She's the shadow broker, man. You couldn't get anything.
That DLC is really cool, though. Definitely my favorite DLC.
Yeah, that definitely should have been in the base game, yeah.
Speaking of Asari, Samara.
Airlock.
Oh, come on. She's like 1,000 years old.
She's got experience.
Yeah,
she scares me. Every time I talk to her.
Wasn't she that actually as well as her daughters? Or did she just pass the gene on?
No, just her daughters.
So you can't have kids with her. You have to make sure you're ready for that, because she seems to have like a mutagen in her.
Crazies.
No, but it's only for pure blood Asari. I mean, if you're not an Asari, I assume. I only hear your voice, but yeah. Confused about that. I mean, in 2 she says that her daughters are the only Ardat Yakshi in existence, but then in 3 you have a whole monastery of them. It's a bit of a contradiction there.
I think that's a retcon.
I thought that monastery was built around just her. Are there more Ardat Yakshi there?
Like, yeah,
I think there's you find some notes about sneaking out, and there's more than the daughters, yeah.
That's been a while.
Rex.
I don't think I'd survive that.
He's uncle. He's, what's the word? Avuncular.
The avuncular.
No, out the airlock. Nobody deserves that.
Yeah, it depends who's on top, I reckon.
I like the sound of that.
1,000-pound Krogan. Yeah, that's probably bad.
Jack.
One night.
She's damaged goods though.
One night.
I would think it's better.
And if you one night with her, she's gonna keep saying "fuck you" to you whenever you try to talk to her. So.
Yeah.
No, it's fuck off.
Fuck off. Yeah, I haven't done it, but I know about it.
It's really easy to get that accidentally. I think they call it a ninja romance, actually. Like you say something nice to her, and then she's like, "What? You're with someone else? Fuck off!" And then you never get to like fix her or whatever.
Yeah.
I would tame her wounded soul and make her my wife. She gives Broshep a tattoo in the Citadel DLC. It's super sweet. So that
really?
Yeah, it's actually a really good scene where, like, she's kind of forcing him to get this tattoo, and then when you press her literal, she's like, it's for if you die on the battlefield, I want them to be able to, identify your body and bring it home to me.
Practical.
That's cool.
She is sweet. I mean, I like Jack a lot. I think she's a cool character. Like, she's kind of like Fenris in Dragon Age. Kind of prickly, but if you invest the time, it's good returns.
And the arc that they put her on where she was caring for the kids at the end.
That was great.
Really helped.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I gotta go.
All right.
So
Okay.
This has been a lot.
All right.
Bye, Matt.
See you, man. It was fun.
Okay. Zaid.
I don't want to go between him and Jesse. Maybe out there, like, he's had a good life. Kind of sad that the voice actor who played him died, though. It's Robin Sachs, I think.
Yeah, in the DLC for Citadel, he sounds terrible.
Do you know what he died of? Was it like...
No, I assumed it. I mean, he was pretty old.
Yeah, I really liked him in Dragon Age 2. It's such a shame, really. I think that Jesse's song from YouTube is a good eulogy for him, really. I'll link it in later on.
Yeah, I'll add it to the show notes. Kasumi, so long as we're doing DLC.
Kasumi.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let her into my apartment, though. She'd steal all my stuff, so yeah, maybe one night.
Plus, she's carrying her boyfriend's memory box around with her.
Yeah, that just makes things difficult.
Out the airlock. Alright, Jimmy Vega. Absolutely marry the shit out of that boy. So fine, so fine. And he's sweet.
Yeah, he's too muscly, though. In terms of physicality, he goes too far.
Probably stacked the roids on.
One of my favorite images to link is a zoom, like a doom zoom on his face, and then it pops up with the text, "That's Loco." It's so funny.
And he has technical expertise if you bring him on Rannoch. You guys seen that?
Yeah, he kicks the machine.
Yeah.
I haven't done that. That's cool.
Freddie Prinze Jr. does a great job with him. Kelly Chambers.
Mary, yeah.
Really?
I don't like Kelly at all.
I don't think she's a very strong character, really, but she's nice. Has a sweet personality, really. I'm kind of worried about her. If you don't have dinner with her in 2, you don't find her on the Citadel in 3. I wonder what happens in that situation, because she does say that...
I think she might go back to Cerberus.
Yeah, stay with Cerberus. I think she leaves if you don't inspire her to leave, I guess.
Yeah, it really shows that they didn't consider her a romance, and if you sleep with her in 2, and then you meet up again with her in 3, it's the most disappointing romantic reunion. It's just like her and Shepard go off stage and apparently have sex behind a dumpster. It's really gross.
While a Batarian watches.
Yeah. It's really gross that she's like, yeah, that was sweet, but it's time to go. Ugh.
She doesn't sleep with you, though. She just gets that skimpy thing on and dances.
Well, no, that's in 2. In 3, you can,
right.
She's wearing, like, some space farmer thing. Yeah. It's almost as bad as, in the Citadel DLC, you can essentially date rape James Vega, which is so awful and horrible and totally unintentional.
I can't wait to play this DLC.
It's so good.
It's really good. I mean, it's infuriating, the main plot, but has really good character moments and the other content, yeah.
Chakwas, the good doctor.
Maybe a few decades earlier I'd marry her, but yeah, I don't know how good the sort of healthcare and physical fitness is in the whatever century this is, but she's sort of a mother figure, so maybe like
you can drink with her.
Hard one.
The drink with her is kind of fun, but it's so short it doesn't really play out in a too interesting way, I feel.
I don't know, she seems adventurous. Give her one night. She'll spin you like a top. Alright, Elusive Man. One nighter, come on. Have you read that dossier on the Shadow Broker?
Oh, yeah. He gets
He's like Tony Stark ordering all the calendar models.
Yeah, a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got Reaper upgrades too, so I guess that's a plus.
Ugh.
Let's do it before the Reaper upgrades.
Yeah, before that stuff grows up on his skin.
They got like these huge wires under his skin too, like Saren did, so yeah, never know.
Morden, the other good doctor.
Marrying the shit out of Morden. Best character ever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if he makes me feel like a dumbass. I love Morden.
He'd only be alive for like 5 years.
That'd be the best 5 years.
Out the airlock and just, frog sex. No. No, thank you.
Yeah, not that into cloacas myself, so, yeah.
God, I forgot about that.
But he knows all the Gilbert and Sullivan.
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asari, and Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology because I am an expert which I know is a tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Solarian.
Yeah, I think he's got like a doctorate in that based on all the advice he gives you on all the different love interests. So yeah, he might be talented.
Arya Talope, Queen of Omega.
You don't fuck with Arya.
I want to fuck with Arya. She's good. Though in the Omega DLC, I just wasn't really a fan of it. Her dialogue felt really stilted throughout, and the whole plot was pretty weak.
Omega is a terrible DLC. That thing is 4 hours long of just shooting.
Yeah, and I love how they set up the villain as a Russian chess master tactician. It's like the most heavy-handed crap ever. It's so funny. He even knocks over a chess piece.
Don't they have female Turians in that one?
Yeah, that's the thing that comes out of Omega is Nyreen Crandall. She's actually a pretty cool character before they unceremoniously kill her.
Yeah, I liked her. She's a testament to what the setting can do independent of Shepard. I mean, she's not really involved in the main Reaper plot at all. She's sort of just a Turian biotic who's kind of shunned by her own society and decides to become a mercenary but still retains her honor. So I thought that was really cool. So I think it's a real testament to what the setting could be outside of the main games.
Yeah, she was great. I was really upset that they decided to kill her for no good reason.
Yeah, that's just more tragedy. But in the Omega DLC, I think we get confirmation that Arya prefers the ladies. She sort of kisses Femshep a little bit more passionately than the Broshep. So,
yeah, she totally just hecks Broshep and then shoves him away. Like, ugh, can't believe I did that. I don't know, she's pretty awesome. Both of them together. Well, they're already together, so both of them at the same time. That'd be great. One-nighter.
Yeah, there's still the reptilian factor there, so...
I could get over it. Just get some lotion. That's what
exactly.
Yeah. If you romance Garrus, you might experience chafing, so...
Don't ingest.
Don't ingest. Who is left? Conrad Werner.
I don't even know how to feel about Conrad Werner.
I've never felt more like a schmuck than when I shoved my gun in his face in the first game. He's such a puppy, and he loves you so much. He can die for you in the third game.
Oh yeah, he takes the shot. I remember.
God, I'd give him a pat on the head.
There you go.
I think airlock for me, he might probably appreciate it, getting airlocked by the great Commander Shepard. So
he'd be taking pictures all the way down.
Gabby, who's the tech down with Kenneth.
Does their story flesh out in 3? I can't remember if you see them again. I know you get the Spectre option to release them from custody.
Yeah, if you release them, they're there, and it's bugged in a lot of games. You don't get the full extent of their dialogue. I think if you have Caden in your group, but they can hook up at the very, very end.
That's I think it's if you spare Ashley on Vermise, they hook up on the crawl space where Jack used to live, and you can catch them sort of in the act, and they'll be all embarrassed. But if you spare Caden, you don't get that content.
Has anyone seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yes.
Fitz
they remind you, right? Yeah,
almost exactly like those two, including the bloke being Scottish.
I find them both annoying, but they're an endearing annoying, so out there.
Yeah, they can go out together.
Steve Cortez, intrepid homosexual pilot that can crash at the very end.
It's really funny that even if you go the platonic relationship with Steve on Priority Earth, at least Broshep goes all Steve when he crashes, and it's I'm okay. So
because he's in the cutscenes at the end.
Yeah, he can survive. I mean, he can totally survive that crash, but if you don't talk to him, he succumbs to not talking to them enough disease and just, explodes.
Did any of you, as Broshep, accidentally romance him while comforting him about his dead husband?
No, it's pretty clear cut on the club, I think.
I didn't either, but I've heard of people accidentally doing that.
Well, you have to pick the option, I'm eye candy too, so I think it's pretty
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. I don't know about that. I haven't played as male Shep in a while. Yeah, he's cool, and badass pilot, always fighting 12 Cerberus fighters at a time while you're doing those missions.
Yeah, I disagree with him, though, about the Mako. I think I prefer the Mako to the Hammerhead,
oh, come on.
Vega.
I don't
can't do shit with the Hammerhead. It's made of tissue paper.
But it can jump. It has better vertical lift.
You can jump with the Mako, too.
But that scanning thing you do with the Hammerhead's so annoying. We're shaking around trying to scan things. Oh, that's...
Anderson. Keith David.
Yes.
Sort of a weird father thing going on over there too, so kind of like Chuck was, so maybe airlock, yeah.
I never liked the way they drew his face.
In Mass Effect 1, his face looks like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a novel, the Revelation, it's explained that he's supposed to be like an ethnic mix of a lot of different peoples, like Native American and African American and, African and all that, but I think it came off really badly in the game itself. I think they just should have used Keith David's face, probably.
Completely changed him for 3. I would marry him. He seems to know what he's doing with his lady friend, whatever, the woman who works at Grissom Academy.
Kaylee.
Great
alive.
Katie Thunder.
Yeah. Also,
I gotta admit, by the Citadel DLC, when Anderson gives you his apartment and you're flying his ship and everything, I was half expecting you to get a chance to romance Kaylee, but everything you've taken from Anderson by that point.
You can find Kaylee's, if you romance Samantha, you can find Kaylee's duffel bag in a closet or something, and it has certain tools within that are thinly veiled referenced. So she's been over a few times.
Oh, well, I've played the beginning of Mass Effect 3 so many times between playing the demo and giving in to despair about the ending whenever I've tried to replay it. So I always see that part where Anderson is running along the thing and he looks totally ridiculous at that part when he's running. And also the blast hits and your hearing is messed up when he's speaking to you and it's like, Shepard! Like his voice is so messed up. Kind of turned me off to him for some reason.
Udina. Airlock.
Yeah, we're airlocking politician incarnate.
I don't really understand what the fuck his motivation was for siding with Cerberus in 3. It wasn't explained at all. I think it's just panicked, I guess.
Doesn't matter. You get to shoot him.
Yeah.
Or you get to shoot Ashley or Caden.
Oh, that is so awful.
Or McGarry shoot him.
Or Liara. I think it's like Javik, Liara, and I think James can do it too. There's a lot of people who you can get to shoot them. I could never do that though. That's so awful.
I'd shoot Ashley.
I'd never shoot Cade.
I'd shoot Karth too.
No! Oh my god, no.
I do
but
need
he
to
wants
play
to tell
Caden.
you about his wife and child.
And Saul and how much he doesn't trust him.
Hack it. Hack it out.
Hack it out.
Yeah, just for the voice alone, yeah.
Pretty rad. I'd marry him. Old Scarface. Oh god, who's left? Jacob. Old boring Jacob Taylor.
Yeah, he's too boring. Too boring.
Yeah.
Maybe one night he works out.
Yeah, he hooks up with Femhawk, even if you do, so he's definitely not sort of the faithful kind.
No, he cheats on your ass if you romance him. The 5 people who romance him.
Really? Wow.
That's the thing, like, I've been in this fandom for a while. I have never seen a fan fiction or a fan art or anything dedicated to Jacob Taylor. Nobody gives a shit.
Mostly just memes about the prize. The prize.
Yeah, it's like if you romance him in 2, and then when you find him again in Mass Effect 3, he's already hooked up and impregnated that other woman. So
yeah, that's that chick is voiced by the one who does Femhawk in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at this Mako gif.
Yeah.
Mako, I did grow to love the Mako.
I just loved ramming shit with it. I mean,
I will say that one thing I did appreciate about going down on the planets was telling Ashley to run into the lava. Give that directional. Oh, got it. Who else, guys?
Legion?
We're not stopping until we've hit every single character in Mass Effect.
Legion.
There's I think he could get some upgrades, I guess, but yeah, it's
well, it's an adapter somewhere, must be.
It's like having sex with 1,000 people at once. So keep that.
He's pretty cute, though. He gets all flustered when you ask him why he's wearing your armor. He's like, no data available.
Like
his eyebrows and everything.
Yeah, he's like a little parakeet. His flashlight head boops, and yeah, when he first sees you, his eyebrow raises. It's cute.
I really got like that impression that Grunt, Legion, and Edie were kind of like you had almost a parental relationship with them. They were all just kids, like, you know, you were teaching them stuff about the world. I mean, they were all badasses and killers at the same time, but they were still like so innocent in a way.
Benezia, Liara's mother with the giant saggy titties.
Yeah, she's got like some weird skin defects on her Asari like dapples on the situation.
She's as old as Samara.
Yeah, she's a matriarch, so she's been around. She's got that ridiculous headdress.
Well, I did have a thing for Jana Troy back in the day, so I don't know. Maybe a one-nighter.
Airlock.
Definitely looked like a dark elf or something in that dress, I think. Yeah, like, plus she's got sovereign in her head, so that's not good for anything.
How about Liara's dad, quote unquote, the bartender, who is
Matriarch Ayatitha, I think.
Is that the thing? Is that established? That bartender? Oh wow, I miss everything apparently.
Oh yeah, that's it's in the Citadel on number 3.
Yeah, you can run into her and introduce Liara to her father, and they have an adorable...
How did I miss this?
Oh, it's so adorable. She's like, I sent you Asari Commandos for your birthday one year. She's pretty awesome, though. She's a salty lady. I would let her do things to me.
Yeah, that conversation too is cool.
Yeah, I think maybe one night. I think she is sort of a good example of, I guess, a masculine Asari. She's not a generic Asari who's just like a greeter on Citadel or a stripper or something. I found that interesting, that an asexual race sort of had masculine aspect as well. There's also the cop on Ilium, I think, that helps you find Samara.
Yeah, she's cool. And the, well, not really masculine, but damn it, the Spectre in Shadowbreaker, Televasir.
Shit. The most annoying boss battle ever while she teleports around.
Really annoying battle, though.
Eve, / or whatever the hell her real name was. Krogan lady. She was cool.
She can handle a shotgun.
Yeah, glad that they sort of finally got some other females in, apart from the Asari, like with Nyreen. Well, that was a DLC, though, and Eve. And if you let Mordin die in 2, there's that a lot of, like, not Mordin, I don't know what his name is, but
Havoc
other Solarian. And she can ask Eve, like, how do Krogan mate? And it's like, very carefully or something.
Morinth, which is Samara's daughter, who you helped murder.
Brain hemorrhage all the way.
Shadow condoms.
You're gonna die anyway out the airlock. I mean, at least enjoy yourself.
She does say her victims experience the most exquisite of pleasures before they choke on their own blood.
I've got one. I can't remember his name, but the Volus who got high.
Oh
yeah. The biotic god.
I would destroy you like a great wind.
Airlock. Airlock all Volus, man.
We're airlocking, but that guy was hilarious.
Did anyone... I told him to charge.
Oh yeah, I did that once. That's funny.
Go ahead. Charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will have some serious potential, yeah, but I mean, if you take them out of the suit, I guess they explode, so that's really that good, so.
Airlock all the Volus. Grunt.
No, he's like my little brother, so I can't really comment on that.
It's like same thing as I said with Rex earlier. It depends who's on top.
He's like a baby.
But if you read the Shadowbroker dossiers, he's buying porn, though, so he's interested.
He also looks up dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's great. It's like sharks and, or not Rex and...
That reminds me of an image I saw of dinosaurs fighting the Reapers.
Was it like where the meteors are coming down and dinosaurs are telling the rodent or something like, flee, we will hold off the meteors, and...
Exactly, but Reapers.
And the Reapers, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Saren.
Yeah, boom.
He's a little grody. He's made of metal, mostly.
I think he was a real dick in that book as well.
Yeah, he was a dick in the book.
Yeah, he had a pretty good quote, though. It's, I have one rule, and it's that never kill anyone without a reason, but you can always find a reason to kill someone.
Why would he kill
Words
Nihilus?
to live by.
Yeah, poor Nihilus.
Samara describes Nihilus as an asshole, too, in the second game.
Really?
Yeah, she tells a story about him, like, slaughtering a village or something.
No, he's just, that could be that he's an asshole, or he's just a good reader of people. I mean, he puts the people in danger, and he knows that Samara has to protect them, so it might be a bluff like Jamie and Edmure, but could be legit, though.
Speaking of, how about Jenkins? Lance Corporal Jenkins.
Oh, God. That poor douchebag. I laugh every time.
But even Prime, he was so happy to be back home.
And then he ran out at cover and got zapped and went down with... Airlock.
Old Jenkins.
Kirahi.
You'd hold the line.
Morden says he's a bit of a cloaca, the good captain. So, yeah, maybe a luck.
Can't get over the frogs, huh?
God,
I love Javik talking about how they evolved and they used to lick their eyeballs and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently the Protheans used to eat them, too.
Oh, that's the interact between Javik and Rex on Surkesh. That's gold. They're just sort of taking a piece out of the Salarians. That's just awesome.
I always take Garrus and Liara on Surkesh because it's fun to have the old team back together.
Javik. You can sleep with him in the Citadel.
Really?
How does that work?
If you're Fem Shep, and I think if you haven't romanced anybody and you have him, what happens is the night after the party, because usually what happens is you wake up with your love interest, and if you don't have a love interest, you wake up beside Javik, and he turns over and he says,
Turns out there is one thing primitives are good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's on Thessia or I think it's on Citadel DLC actually. Javik mentions that Asari weren't good for much, but they used to like have sexy times with the Protheans back in the day. I guess that might be a part of the reason why Protheans chose to sort of uplift the Asari. Maybe.
I was worried that Javik would steal the R away from me.
Oh.
She loves that guy.
She pitches a fit at him after Thessia, though, which is so refreshing.
It's really sort of on Thessia in the museum, though. It's dialogues don't really mesh well. I mean, Liara is also like, "Whoa, what's happening? It must be the Prothean DNA inside you, Shepard." And Javik's right there. It's like they didn't really polish that all the way through, I don't think.
My list is depleted. Can y'all think of anybody else?
Well, we could go on forever. I think we should maybe like. Yeah. There's so many characters. I like the badass and dumbasses idea. So who I guess would be the biggest badass? There's so many, it's hard.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go to Rex. Badasses need to have that sort of self-confidence. I mean, Garrus and Grunt and all of them are kind of badass too, but they keep doubting themselves and kind of angsting. But Rex is just confident all the way through.
He didn't put up much of a fight when I shot his guts out on Vermeer.
That's a pretty brutal scene. I mean, you take out a shotgun and out of shot you can see Shepard shooting his head like 5 to 10 times or something. It just keeps unloading.
I was just going to say that you can fight like a Krogan or like a Leopard, but you'll never be better than Commander Shepard. Biggest badass, Shepard. You know how many people I've killed? Do you have any idea how many people I've killed throughout these games? A lot. It's been a lot. So yeah, biggest badass, Commander Shepard.
Shepard is a jerk.
He is. She is, whatever.
Yep.
But still, badass.
Dumbass has to go to Kai Lang all the way.
Maybe. I think Zaid's a bit of a dumbass, though.
No way, man. He's a cool dude. I mean, well, he's not exactly book smart, but I mean, I think he's pretty savvy, though. Like,
he did try and blow up a whole refinery just to get one guy.
Yeah, but he was driven. That's passion.
It's passion.
It was a whole revenge thing. He got shot in the face.
Well, you'd be mad too if you got shot in the face.
Who are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Zaid.
Zaid.
Zaid. I was thinking of Saren because he does a similar thing, I think, where he like blows up a whole place to get what he wants.
Yeah, Anderson tells you that story. I think Samara's pretty badass. I mean, she takes her code to such a T that she's gonna blow her head off at the end for her daughter.
She just doesn't give a fuck at all.
She's got that quiet confidence, well, like Rex. I guess it comes.
She doesn't have to. She doesn't have to
1,000 years
bump
old.
her chest.
No, she just she's serene.
Speaking of not giving a fuck, I think Javik is a big contender for that. Yeah.
He's so depressed.
Yeah, he's too depressing. We're dead. It's over. Are we dead yet?
I think for dumbasses, I'd have to go with that Krogan guy, Gadatok Uvenk, I think his name is, the one who tries to quote Grunt in his loyalty missioning too. You first see him arguing with Rex.
Voiced by Worf from Star Trek.
Biggest dumbass is the Turian counselor. Ah, Reapers. We've dismissed that claim. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that guy.
Well, what are you gonna hand it to him when the shit actually hits the fan? He's the first one to ask Shepard for help and actually do something when the Asari and Solarians are just like, I don't know, maybe we'll just try to protect our own borders and you guys handle that shit. And the Turian counselor actually sent you to Palaven and takes action, so it's kind of an asshole in the first two, but yeah.
So I have a question. I always let the council die in the first game, but I'm pretty sure that the models for the replacement council are identical to the dead ones.
I let them live.
Yeah, I don't think there's much difference.
I think it's the same voice actors too. It's just like the same outfits, the same markings, but no, those guys are totally dead.
I always assume if I replace them with a human council, they'll be like alien concentration camps by Mass Effect 2.
Dumbass has to go, that guy in the Overlord DLC who screws up his brother.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Archer,
yep.
voiced by Simon Templeman.
Yeah. That was really sad.
I mean, the DLC is sort of, it's a little extra gameplay, I guess, but it has a few good moments like that awesome Paragon interrupt when you pistol with Dr. Archer. That's like one of the few badass Paragon interrupts, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool premise, but like all the DLC, it's kind of plagued by clear post-production, not caring as much, and lots of repetitive levels.
Jacob's dad is also a dumbass. That's a weird mission, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mentioning the voice actors until it becomes tedious, but that guy is voiced by Lee from the Walking Dead Telltale game.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't that much of a dumbass as he was a scumbag, I guess. I mean, that's not really a nice thing to do, I guess.
No.
Generating your crew and using them as
No,
sex
it's not
slaves,
really
that's
that.
kind of...
It's not that nice.
Do you guys arrest him or kill him?
I'm pretty sure I'd kill him.
I give him the gun.
I'd shut the bars on him.
Okay.
Because I'm lawful good.
Cal Rieger's a badass. I like that guy.
Yeah, Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin.
Yes.
God, the Quarians are just where bad accents go to die. I guess the idea is that every ship is kind of like a nation unto itself, but it still doesn't make sense that you have Tally, who sounds like she's from the Middle East, and then you have Cal Rieger, who's from East Texas.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of
isn't his part the biggest star for the smallest cameo sort of thing?
I guess so. No, I guess. Well, the Elusive Man is a major character. Martin Sheen, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a real shame that they had to kill him off in that Codex entry or something in 3. Cal Rieger.
Wait, he dies in 3?
Yeah,
he sacrifices himself.
Sacrifices himself to save some refugees.
I don't remember that at all. I guess because I end up killing all of them anyway, it doesn't matter.
About the Quarian accents, though, I think it's actually at least kind of consistent, because, as you said, Tally has sort of a Middle Eastern accent, I guess, and Aunt Raya or something, the admiral that's from her ship, she is voiced by an Iranian voice actress as well, so... And then you have the other ones who are pretty much British or American, I guess.
And maybe the high-class ones pick up different stuff on their pilgrimage or whatnot.
Oh yes, the admiral who's voiced by Claudia Black as well.
Yeah, she's just a crazy mad scientist kind of gal, I guess.
Dumbass award goes to that Hanar that's trying to help the Reapers, and you stop being stupid jellyfish.
That quest kept bugging for me. It took me hours to get that quest to work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I had a problem with that too, but it's nice because there's some more of that beautiful ambient dialogue as you're walking around that area for the 10th time, and you get to hear that lady who has Alzheimer's talking to that Asari.
You're just like my daughter-in-law.
The thing is, that dialogue always seems to repeat. Like, it's always the same thing for me.
I think that's the thing, it's like she comes there every day and just says the same thing to that poor Asari.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Oh, badass. Who's the guy who's like Arya's a badass, but also her Krogan old guy that she keeps around as a trophy.
The Patriarch.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's kind of sad.
He didn't seem that badass to me. He seemed kind of decrepit.
I don't know. Maybe I just like old beat up guys. But Arya, she's a badass. Morden's a badass too. He's basically, would they model him after Clint Eastwood or something in Solarian?
Yeah, just doing what he's doing. Like, I love his speaking mechanism so much. It's so cool. The fact that he's so cold.
It's like his brain's on overdrive as well.
Like the bit where you're doing the Sirkesh level and the guy like refuses to open the gate or whatever, and he just shocks him. And he's like, "Now, if you'd please," or something.
I didn't really notice much of a difference, but I guess they switched the voice actors on him in between 2 and 3. Was it actually Mark Meir who did Morden in 3, or who was it?
I don't know. I know they changed it. You can barely, like, you can tell, but just barely.
Yeah.
I think Kolyet is a dumbass. I punch him in the mouth.
But I guess it's
There's
kind
like
of
some
badass.
biological explanation for why he's being a dumbass, like some weird Drell thing.
No, he's just rebellious and wants to be an assassin.
Right.
Like
Puberty. That's the explanation.
I don't know. He takes out a Krogan with like few rounds from an SMG, so I don't know if that's a gun or something. Cutscene sort of competence thing, I guess, but kind of jarring when there's this Krogan bodyguard the Turian politician guy has, and Kolyat just like shoots a few rounds from his SMG and he goes down. Always bugged me a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the fact that as soon as you let Jack out of the tank, she like destroys those 3 massive robots with one punch.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you're with her, use those robots take ages to kill them.
Jack's power set in 2 is pretty awful. I mean, she was supposed to be this like ultimate badass biotic, but her powers are just bad.
Yeah, all she had was push and shockwave.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, what is the most annoying generic baddie that you have to fight often, do you guys think, in all the games? The mechs with the shields are pretty bad, I think.
I'm trying to think. There was one that got on my nerves. Oh, the fucking, the Cerberus guys with the shields in the 3rd game.
Oh, yeah.
That was irritating.
I always play Infiltrators, so headshot all day on those guys, but
yeah,
what's annoying is the...
through the visor on the shield, yeah.
Those assholes with the swords that like come right at you.
Oh, the Banshees.
The Banshees too, yeah. Forgot about those.
I just really can't be bothered with that shield shit, so I just always go for the armor-piercing ammo and just blast through the shields and kill them like that. The most annoying ones are definitely the Ravagers, the zombie Arachni that the Arachni Queen graciously gives to us for all our help in the tree. They're just awful.
Oh yeah, those are so annoying. I'm remembering how bad those are. They like do sets of 3 shots that kick your ass.
Those massive laser things, yeah.
Yeah.
What class did y'all play as? I was always soldier because I like.
First time was soldier, then I went to Sentinel, and then I did a lot of playthroughs on Vanguard, and then I started Infiltrator.
First time I played Vanguard, but I realized I really don't like close range shotgun stuff. Then I went soldier, and then I kind of went Infiltrator all the way, especially in 3. Sorry?
Yeah, you carry on.
I was just going to say that I discovered the beauty of Incinerate as a power. It's so good.
Yeah. I really loved the combination of Singularity and then Warp, because everyone under Biotics just explodes.
I've never met anybody who plays as Engineer.
I was a soldier. I mean, I feel like Shepard is always a soldier, but if you're a biotic or something, you don't really get any acknowledgement from that. I think Caden maybe has a bit of dialogue in 1 when he's like, yeah, you get that other implant than I do, so you don't get headaches or something.
Well, it's so easy to become a biotic no matter what class, because you can always pick one skill from everyone else.
Yeah, I guess that sort of falls into gameplay, story segregation kind of stuff, but I mean, you don't ever get a cutscene where Shepard is using biotics.
Yeah.
In the Citadel DLC, you get that like one engineer interrupt when you can solve like a technical problem in one click. I'm hoping they're going to use that in future BioWare games, sort of have the class have more of an effect in your story.
It's like being a blood mage in DA2. Nobody seems to care. Alright guys, I think I'm tapped.
Yeah, I think we've gone through the ringer on this one.
We've hit 2.5 hours. Thanks guys for stopping in, making this possible. It's one I've been trying to get done for a while. So I will talk to y'all later. See you on the forums.
Thank you for doing this. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Alright, thanks guys.
Night.
Bye.
See you.
I guess we better get back to it.
At least we threw one hell of a party. Probably the last one.
Shepard, you will find a way to win. I know it. And when you do, I'll be waiting. Yeah. The greatest challenge of my life. And the greatest reward. It's been a good ride.
The best.
No one's mentioned Grunt yet. I'm slightly disappointed because he's awesome. If we just have a game with Grunt in it, that would be cool.
I would play that.
Did anyone not release Grunt from the thing in any of their playthroughs? Like,
I didn't know that was
from the cave.
You can leave him, I think, in the bio container in your cargo hold forever if you want.
But why? Why would you do that? Like,
I don't know.
He is everybody's baby.
Yeah.
Everybody's Hank baby.
Yeah, he's cool. He's definitely interesting. He's like, I like Rex a lot, but I actually think Grunt's a more interesting Krogan because of the way his story plays out. But we don't get to see much of him in 3, really.
I thought the moment when you think he's dead and then he like staggers out of the thing and you just
that part's cool.
Him, yeah, and you just.
I thought he was dead legitimately.
Yeah,
they framed that pretty well.
It's like the one fake out in that game where somebody doesn't die.